are still in this matter of curriculum. Last time we started talking about curriculum, the Nigerian curriculum, and what is missing. And we pinpointed the fact that, yes, the curriculum is not really the issue. However, the curriculum does not really empower students. It's not child-centered. It shows you what the teacher would do, should do, and all of that. That's where we stopped in our second episode. Today, we have not done justice to this matter, so we're back today to keep talking about it. Today, we're going to continue with the impact, this missing link in our curriculum, the impact it has on our social economy. So I have two powerful ladies again in the studio with me. One of them you already know, but I'm going to also allow her to introduce herself again today, and then we move on to the second powerhouse. By the way, I am Uzoma Uduma, popularly known as Miss You.
Miss You.
And this is Edu Podcast. This is Edu Pod with Uzoma. This is where we unbox voices, experiences in education. We talk about what is happening, what is trending, what hasn't happened, what will happen, and everything in between. So over to you, Powerhouse.
Thank you so much for having me again, Miss You. It's
You're
always
welcome.
a pleasure to
Welcome
be on
back.
your set. I am Caroline Omotosho, as you know. I'm a teacher. I'm a school leader. I'm a businesswoman. I sell foodstuffs, as you know.
Sweet foodstuff.
I empower young girls. I'm a consultant, and yeah, I think that's all I do.
Welcome back, Mrs. Omotosho.
Thank you.
Last time when we finished, there's something we have not talked about in this curriculum matter, so we're back today to do it. But I have a new face in the studio today. She tells us she's shy. No, but there's nothing shy about her. When she starts talking, just wait. Over to you.
All right. Thank you, Miss You, for having me.
You're
I'm very excited to be here. Shy Me is Akan Imunemo, popularly known as Mrs.
Miss E. We all have this.
Called you Miss You. Yeah. So I am a teacher. I am a curriculum developer. I am an English enthusiast, grammar, language, anything English you can call on me.
Yep.
And thank you, Miss You, for having me here
You're very
to
welcome.
talk about curriculum and its impact on our socio-economic development.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So as you can see, it's a very passionate area for us. I mean, the fact that we're back here today to talk about it will tell you that, yes, something has to be done about it. I already introduced myself. I am a school leader as well. I am an enthusiast when it comes to education. And like I said the last time, I love to solve problems in education. So today, let's start from our shy Mrs. E. Let's hear her views today about the curriculum and what is missing. And then we'll move on to the impact it has on the economy. So, Mrs. E, what do you have to say?
Thank you, Miss You.
Yeah.
So basically, the curriculum link is actually the gap between what the curriculum is teaching and the real life experiences that the curriculum should address,
Yes.
the real life issues that the curriculum should address, and the workplace experiences that the people who have used the curriculum should be able to apply. So there's a disconnect between what the curriculum has empowered teachers to teach in the classroom and how those skills are being used out there. For example, before we came into the studio, I was telling you about remembering that I had a statistics lecturer. And every time I met my classmates, and all we talked about was dy, dx, du, dv. None of us can remember what that dy, dx was used for, what the topic was, or how we were able to solve problems. I remember burying a rat for 3 days behind my neighbor's window. After 3 days, I dug this thing out. It was so smelly. I have drawn cockroaches and labeled them. But today I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
None of those,
You can't make
I can't even,
relatable.
relatable at all.
Yeah.
We've done Socatua that we have not used today. So there is so much going on. I've learned in history, we've done Usman Dan Fodio. I know that history is great. It empowers us, helps us learn about the past to be able to solve problems of today and tomorrow. But really, we just learned that in isolation. There were no opportunities for us to practice what we had done in the classroom.
Yes.
Also, what the curriculum has done is it just teaches us what to teach. Stay within this box, but at the end of 5 years, maybe primary one,
Yes.
primary two, this is what a child is supposed to know. But it does
So
not.
it's prescriptive.
It is prescriptive, but it does not empower students to think.
Hmm.
It does not empower students to solve problems.
To be
It
creative.
doesn't even empower us to be mindful of our civic responsibility as a nation.
Say that again.
It does not empower us to look for solutions to problems. What the curriculum has done so far is help us to be job seekers. When we're done with the classroom, go apply for a job. But the curriculum has not empowered us to solve problems such that we can create jobs,
Create opportunity
for the future. So this is where the curriculum has placed us. It's largely outdated. It's theoretical, even up to the university level. Because I've sat in interviews where students basically cannot even communicate. And these are things that happen every day. Even content creators go to universities to interview students and they're unable to communicate.
Yes.
They can't even express
Yes.
themselves
Yeah,
like
basic on
basic
social media.
knowledge on social media. Content creators these days are even making mockery of
The
the
education
system.
system.
Yeah. Which is why the last time we talked about this
Lately,
is scam or what? It's
yes,
cool.
which is why young people these days feel that school is a scam and they are able to justify that fact because everything they have learned in the classroom stays in the classroom. The curriculum prepares us to learn, memorize, sit for an exam,
and just
download everything
brush
that
it
you
back
have
out.
memorized, and that is it. There's nothing that has empowered us to do outside of the classroom.
And the fact that, like you mentioned, because it teaches students to seek jobs, right? And just like you said, I'm just trying to support what you said in terms of you said in terms of students now seeing the evidence that's really like what's the point of going to school? Because at the end of the day, it teaches you to curriculum teaches you to look for a job, get the job, make money, take care of your family and all of that. But at the end of the day, if it is money that I'm looking for, why do I need to go to school? Because I can just
sit in my house
to do my YouTube,
make my
just
money.
skits. People are doing skits and making all of that money.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you, Miss You, that you can as well sit at home and make money. But education helps you to be refined.
I agree.
Education
Even that we
helps
need to
you
find the way to
solve
make
your
it.
problem. Education helps you to be innovative. And so that's the difference between, I'm sorry to use this example. So a roadside food seller, for example,
Yes.
who was not even opportune to go through a primary education.
Yes.
The way the person will sell or her approach and attitude to her business is totally different from somebody who has a master's in business administration. Totally different. The same content, but their audience, their target audience are totally different. Their packaging, their approach, they are different.
Yeah.
And so I cannot say that education does not have an impact in terms of how to make money.
Does.
Even in
Of course
content
it does.
creation, you would see the difference between people who are well-read,
Educated.
and those who are educated from those who are not educated. The difference is always there.
Yeah.
The difference is clear. No, looking at the impact of all these missing gaps, I agree totally with you, Mrs. E, about what you said. I totally agree. But you see, I was also looking at it before we go on into the impact of
Yes.
impact of this missing links on our socio-economic development.
Yes.
I was also looking at it. I mean, I looked at the OECD table, the PISA table. That's the Program for International Student Assessment.
Yes.
And that assesses students from over 120 countries. And my heart broke when I realized that maybe there are about 3 or 4 African countries. Of course, Nigeria was not on that league.
Oh dear.
Wasn't on that table. I was saddened when I realized that it was only 4 African countries who made it into the league. Of course, it's something that is assessed every 3 years. Maybe 2026, when another one is going to be administered, maybe the number of African countries or students from African countries who would also sit for that assessment will be there. Why is this so important? That's how you actually check the quality of your education.
Yes.
for every country, for
Country, yeah.
countries, who participate in this activity.
Yes.
And why are they doing that? Is to check the readiness, of the future generation or the younger generation, their readiness for the future, their readiness for workplace, because these are people who we expect to identify problems, solve the problems. And so if we are nowhere on that league table, what are we talking about? When I'm looking at the budget allocation, now UNESCO has made a recommendation flat
Yes.
between 15 and 20% of every country's budget, 20%, maximum 20% should be allocated to education. Sad enough, come back home to Nigeria. I'm looking at that, and thanks to the current administration, because they also just increased the percentage allocated to education funding in Nigeria in this current administration. But guess the percentage. Can either of you guess?
I don't think I want to guess.
Yes, because a far cry from the actual one.
It is actually a far cry from the actual, despite the fact that there was an effort to increase the percentage allocated to education. Just 6.59%.
Not even up
of
to
our
10%.
total budget, a yearly budget, is allocated to education. So tell me, are we really ready? Are we really preparing those children for the job of the future? Are we really ready for them to be innovative and creative? Are we also localizing the context? Are we also putting our learning in context as a country? So there is a whole lot that should be done.
Yes.
The truth is, if there is no funding for education, how do you want to train the teachers? Teacher development is key. A research has also proven that for any child's attainment, the teacher makes 37% input into a child's attainment.
Yes.
And if we are not training the teachers, if the resources are not there, if the infrastructures are not there, if the curriculum is not reviewed, and I wouldn't call it a review. I would say if the curriculum is not revamped outrightly.
It's a revamping.
If we are not making provision for research, technological advancement, we are far from, we are way
behind
from children in other countries or students in other countries, where the countries or the government are making deliberate effort to prepare these children for the future role. And the truth is, we keep talking about future. The future is here.
The future was yesterday.
Future is now. The future was yesterday. So what are we going to do in terms of when you talk about the impact of education? We've talked about giving analogy of a food seller and somebody who owns, standard restaurants and things like that. Beyond that, you are looking at even health-wise, as a nation, if you are educated, your fertility rate will definitely drop, right? Or rather, I wouldn't say the fertility rate will drop, but I would say that the number of children that people give birth to in the country will reduce, because you'll be able to space your children accordingly, because you're educated. You will know how to, this is all the things I need to do. But in a case where 1 out of every 5 children in the world that are out of school, they are Nigerians. So which means 20% of children who are out of school in the world are Nigerians. So where do we begin from?
Okay, so let me take it from there. The last session we had, the last episode, I remember you mentioned something, and that's really where I would really wish that as a country and as educators and school owners that we actually start looking at. You mentioned something last episode. You said some of these things we don't have control over.
Agreed.
And that is just the truth, because I said, it's about problem solving. There are times when if a problem presents itself. So, for example, we cannot control the traffic, but you can control what time you leave your house, so that you can, get wherever you're going to on time. So my question is, or my reflection, I'm thinking, yes, we know we are dealing with all of these things, revamping, all of that, but I'm interested in what we can do for the now, what we have control over. And that for me is where individual people come in. And by individual, it can be individual educators, it can be schools, it can be school owners. what can we do for the now to help students? And I'm saying that because, every year the World Economic Forum brings out these reports telling us about the skills needed for 2025. I think the next one now is 2030.
Mhm.
And you will notice that in these reports, there is nothing about certificate inside. There's no certificate inside there.
Mm.
What you have are things like problem solving, creativity, teamwork, soft skills,
Communication.
communication. Like you mentioned it. People, our students cannot communicate, and that's a big worry. Now, yes, curriculum has its own part to play, but how can we now? I think I was sharing with you, Mrs. A. I saw in a Facebook group where somebody asked this question. She was the person, she or she, I don't know, was asking the group, like for people to share opinions. Please, what can I do with the money I realized from from students in the class who spoke vernacular? So this is a problem. Children are speaking vernacular. Students are not speaking correct.
And instead of redirecting
and
or
teaching
them.
because that should be a teaching moment.
But is there anything
You're collecting money from them.
Sorry, Miss Yu, I'm going to interject. But is there anything wrong
with
to speak vernacular?
My point exactly. So, but I'm thinking, well, you're collecting money from students, not even adults, students. So they have to now ask their parents to give them money. Mom, if you give me money today, I may speak vernacular. Because it's sad. So that's where I'm coming from. What's the place? Where's the place of school owners' input? Where's the place of the teacher? Where's the place of when the child says something wrong, you correct?
Okay.
Instead of
Sorry, Mrs.
Sort of
Eames.
punish it.
I'm actually trying to get Miss Yu right. So, Miss Yu, what we're trying to talk about
What can we do
is
for now?
what we can do for now.
Yes.
We are aware of the impact in terms of
We know.
socio-economic
We know all the
development,
problems.
the limitation to
Yes.
empowerment,
Yes.
and all of those things. What can we do for now? I think I would allow Mrs. E to jump in on that. What can we do
What
for
I
now
want to say
that we have control over?
what we have control over that I think should become a policy is that the curriculum we use now should be decentralized.
Yeah.
What we use now is largely what our colonial masters have given us. Even though there was a national policy on education in 1977, which was revamped, a lot of stakeholders came together, and what we're still using today is a curriculum that was prescribed in 1977. Even though there have been reforms and revisions here and there, but those revisions still do not address the current realities we face ourselves with today.
Yes.
So what I think is every region across the country, every geopolitical zone should have a curriculum that works for them. Even though the objective that a certain age, by the age of 10, students should be able to do X, Y, Z. Or the practical situations, their problem-solving realities should be related to their environment.
Yes.
It should be to that region, just like teaching from the known before going to the unknown. So it should be what they're familiar with. So instead of memorizing the rivers in Europe,
who died in what year,
there's Makoko here in Lagos, for example.
Yes.
What are the problems in Makoko? What's the flooding situation? Where are people living in thatched in wooden houses on
traffic.
water? What are the effects? Abu has spoken about the problems with power situation in Nigeria and how these issues can be addressed. It's not in any curriculum anywhere.
Because it's not there.
When you go to the north, have we spoken about agriculture? What can we do to empower the women in the north, for example, the girls in the north? That is not addressed in any curriculum.
Even those headers, the children, because the children are also part of the headers.
Yes.
For those who move from place to place, the nomadic children, excuse me. I mean, we can actually have a mobile school for them.
Absolutely.
We can have mobile school for them. So what I'm hearing you say is, but that is still a government thing. For us to, first of all, decentralize, right?
She doesn't think so. She doesn't think so. She doesn't think
it's not a government thing, because what I say by decentralization is every stakeholder, teachers, mothers, fathers, religious leaders in every community, traditional rulers in every community should come together and say, what is the problem in this our region? It
But
should
that's
be
it
taught
kind
in
of like
school.
so.
It is
So
still not.
even though it's not government, but it's still not in the it's not in the control of.
It's not with
For
it.
example, a
It's
teacher
not.
can't
It's not
decide
their
that.
Who is
purview.
the government? The government is not random. The government begins with us as individuals.
Okay, so that's
It
what
is
you mean.
that is the perspective I'm looking at it from. It begins with one or two people coming together to say there is a problem. Let's talk about this.
Okay. So I
And
hear
then we'll
you.
tell the next. That's where we have local governments, we have state governments, and all
So
of
I
that.
hear you,
So
and you know,
I
I actually mentioned something like this last time. You know, when you were.
So it should
reading it.
begin with us as individuals.
I said something about every teacher in their class. So I am teaching addition. Nothing stops me from taking my children. That's I talked about it last
Yes,
time.
you did, I remember.
Creativity, your own innovation. Nothing stops me from taking my children outside. Because it's not written in the curriculum doesn't mean I can't do it.
I'm
So
hearing
if I bring in my innovation,
Mhm.
if I like I hear I can very well, what's stopping you from bringing in Lagos traffic inside it, or society, what is happening in the country and all of that? That's what you're talking
Yes,
about, right?
I like your perspective on that, but you also have to realize that what is a curriculum? It's actually a guide, it's a framework that will guide people as to how learning experiences will take place for the children. We can review, we can write our story based on our context. I'm hearing you. But at the same time, I'm playing the devil's advocate in
Yes.
this situation. Where have you also considered the impact that we have on testing? Because this is a society that is performance driven, right? Remember, the exam that will be administered at the end of the children's 12-year learning journey is not just administered to children in the Southwest region alone, will to be administered same questions to children from Ghana, from Liberia, from Togo,
Which is
from
why-
Benin.
But I
and-
think
Which is why I also want to come to the fact that when we teach, what we're doing right now is we're teaching children to sit for an examination and pass that examination.
and
You
after
see,
that,
testing
that's it.
should be scrapped.
Hey,
Say it again.
where is the table? Let's break it.
True test of knowledge.
Where is the table here?
Examinations. Okay,
Please.
take what just happened recently
By
in
the way, that's
YX.
the person who said she's very shy.
See, imagine what happened with YX. Students were writing exams
In the
Mr.
dark.
Makasho,
With
in the
touch.
dark
Agreed.
The touch, light,
with their phones
key.
as the source of light for them to see. So, testing. Do you think that is a true test of knowledge?
But I'm hearing you, but also again, I'm still bringing it to the point that remember that there is a guide. Remember that there is something they are looking forward to. Now you cannot.
That
testing
thing
has
they're
its
looking
own-
forward to is what she's saying.
testing, yes,
there's
testing
nothing
has
there
its
to look
own
forward
role,
to.
right? You're looking at another curriculum from another institute, from another country, for example. Their testing is done at the end of the 12-year academic journey. And that's but there is something, yes, you can be creative, the skill. So what I think we need to do differently is if the government is able to say, let's change everything in terms of the content, it's going to be skills based. And so you are not making it, the curriculum is not prescriptive in such a way that if I don't teach, how Ashoke is woven, then the children will fail. But if it is just the skill, and so I can take that skill from my context and replicate it, interpret it in any context whatsoever.
But the question is, Mr. Motosho, we don't need to wait for government to do that. That's for me, that because I'm really big on this, what we can do. And I like what you have said about skills. If we want children to remember, let me take social studies or civic.
So you see this testing, sorry to cut you short, the way the questions are asked in examinations are also limiting. It does not allow children.
You see,
If I teach,
this is another episode
You see,
entirely.
it does not allow the children
Questioning?
to. If we were teaching skills and not knowledge, no matter the question that is set, WAEC from Ghana or an international examination, every child should be able to answer the question. If it is skill-based, which they have practiced over and over within the confines of their own region. So irrespective of the question style or what it entails or the complexity, every child will be able to solve the problem if the teaching is done right, like you just mentioned, skill-based. Because right now we're hoping for a better tomorrow. The world is ever changing, but we're teaching for a past using an analog curriculum.
Very
So what
analog.
do you do? So
But we
I'm
want a
asking the
digital,
question
we
now.
want a digital society. But we're teaching for the past and we're hoping for a better tomorrow. That tomorrow will not come. People do not do something about the curriculum now, which is why I still go back to saying that curriculum, every stakeholder, let's begin with individuals, one or two people talking about it, it will get to the ears of the government.
All right. So
But-
I'm
but
taking you.
we're
Sorry, Miss
talking-
You. I'm taking you on this.
We're
And I
talking
want
just
us to
solve the
use, and I
problem.
want us to use Makoko, for example. Makoko is a good example to use to teach. You can teach math, you can teach geography, you can
Absolutely.
teach English, you can teach history, you can teach anything.
So cross curriculum.
It's cross curricular, which I like. But remember, who is going to how is that going to interpret into their what is that going to look like when they're writing WAEC?
They don't, because for me, they don't
question.
necessarily have to be answering about Makoko. They will be answering about questions
Problems.
related to whatever issue or problem they solved using Makoko.
Flooding.
Flooding.
You remember,
Health
let's look
issues.
at okay,
But,
so
but
from
like you
this one,
said,
I'm
they won't
looking
even
at
they won't even
geography.
see those kind of questions
I'm
in the first
looking at
place.
geography, for example. In geography, I remember when I was in school, I studied
they-
geography, and
Oh.
it's still what they have now. There is human geography, West African geography. You have to answer questions from other West African countries. It is not linked to my
Yeah.
context. If I'm
So
not aware,
The,
I'm
the
not widely
question,
read.
When
and
I
I'm still
say
looking
when
at
I
this
say
context.
regional, remember I mentioned going from the known to the unknown.
Mhm.
Students will not be confined just to their region.
Okay.
Of course, there's
so
globalization,
it's starting
international.
from what they
Starting
know, so
from
that they
what
can
they know,
contextualize
and then they
it.
open up to other regions. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying. I'm
I
not
get
saying
it.
stay in your own box.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Well,
right,
for
that
example,
clarifies it
example,
now.
if we take the flooding issue, if you actually take flooding as a
Then-
real life
Then
situation,
think
in
about
Makoko,
flooding in
then
China.
you can
How was
talk
it solved
about-
in China? So can we apply what was done in China to Makoko?
Okay, I get what you're
Yes,
saying now.
areas.
So it would work if we do that, and if we feel empowered that we can do that. What can we do for now? Like
You know,
Miss
that was
Nishi
yes,
said,
that's my
you
question.
said,
Like,
let us
what's-
decentralize the curriculum, which I like the idea of us decentralizing the curriculum and making sure that we link it to our context, right? Every region find what is suitable for you and let it be skill based.
Mm.
We are aware that the curriculum right now is not skills based, but let's make it skills based. But again, I'm looking at the inspectors, I'm looking at the school owners who are very rigid. Like, this is how we have been doing it.
You know, I mentioned it the
What-
last time.
So how do we have control over that?
I mentioned it the
and
last
this-
time because
This week I'm just playing the devil's advocate. So
why?
I'm just enjoying it.
But it's fine. But you see, I mentioned it the last time in the last episode. I said some of the frustrations that teachers face, because we do have teachers. See, all this is we're saying that we have teachers who want to try it out. We have teachers who sometimes, when they attend webinars that I'm hosting or trainings and all of that, when we finish, they're like, "Ma, please, can you tell our madam? Can you tell the school director or school proprietor? Can you tell them so that they will allow us to practice these things?" So again, it comes back to us. So I really feel that, you know, as we're talking about government, we're talking about teachers, we also need to talk about school owners. And like you said, if we're just a little bit flexible in terms of, I've had a teacher who said they won't allow me do self-assessment or peer assessment in my class.
So, for example, art, right?
Meanwhile, yes.
Art, for example,
Yes.
do we really need to be writing and say still life drawing? This is what still life drawing.
The same art. I told you last time about it.
Makoko, for example, and get an image of a basket or an image of a boat and say, okay, these are the things you need to, and make it very practical. When they make it practical, you are able to identify even children who are skilled and talented in that, and they will find their path. One thing I like about our curriculum as a nation is the fact that at some point it helps you with your vocation. So the basic 6-3, what is it now?
6334.
6334.
It's no more 6-3-3-4. I think you are old now. I think it's 6-9.
Really nice.
It's 6-9.
6334 is too long.
They do junior
It's
secondary.
yeah.
So the junior secondary,
6-3-3-4.
the basics is for you to end at. If you end at year 9, that's at JS3, you are fine. It's by choice. If you want to move on to, so when you talk about compulsory education, it's just all the way to year 9.
Are you saying 934 now also? Because for saying
It's still 6334.
I know
Yes.
it's been
They
it's
still
been-
call it A lot of schools still call it SS1, SS2, and SS3.
SS3.
It's been revealed, but I mean that's not the
Well, maybe
conversation
it's
we
yet
want
to
to
be
have now. So
implemented.
let's talk
That's another
about
problem.
let's talk about that art like I'm
Whether
talking about. Why do we have to do it? Still life, da 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 da, and you are defining. When I
memorization.
I don't need to define. What I need to do is, does this child have an interest? How do I pick this child's interest such that I enhance, the creativity, or I foster the creativity and the artistic skills that this child has? There will be opportunities that will be provided for such children. So in talking about what can we do now?
No.
I'm taking it from let's decentralize, let's contextualize it, let's bring it home, identify problems, make it skill-based, right? In making it skill-based, you are bringing the children into that mix. The children will then begin to enjoy, like it's something that is relatable to them. Is relatable, they can adapt.
Yes.
You will find children will be, they will be enthused by it, and you see them going an extra mile. They will become more self-directed, and they will identify problems that you are the teacher do not even see.
Again, all of these things will be able to take place if the school owner is open to it.
So our clarion call, I think, is to the school owners. So you have the control over the curriculum. Be flexible as long as you can defend it. You can make a change within your space.
Because it's one thing to say, oh, this is not working. I mean, some school owners will go and the teachers are not doing anything. But
the school owners also do that. In fairness to them, they're afraid of inspectors. The inspectors might just come in at any time.
Yes, I agree.
And then they'll be penalized for not.
I agree. But you see, it comes back to, for example, what we're talking about. I think you mentioned confidence. If I am a school owner, I should be able to defend, justify, because at the end of the, I'm not breaking any law. I'm not doing anything that I'm not supposed to do. Whatever it is that you want to come and inspect or whatever, that's still the end goal. But as a school owner, the problem we still have is this same mentality. Let's not do it all so that they will not. It's still that fear. It's still that lack of confidence. Because if you are, in quotes, if you know what you're doing, if you know your onions as a school owner, you should be able to defend these things.
Yeah.
So I think we need to get to that point where, tell some days, tell your teachers, oh, take your learning outside today.
Yeah.
And whether inspectors come or not, you say, we are learning. What's the learning objective?
The children are able to, talk about their learning.
Yes.
Then I'm also thinking that, yes, there is this big clamor for core curricula, but even though people do not know what that means, in talking about what can we do in preparing the children for the future, identify those soft skills and incorporate them into the day-to-day experiences that you are giving the children. Communication, group work. So when you give them project is not for them to print. So you will see the children typing. I don't know whether your own children do that. They will buy cardboard, or sometimes they even print on banner, and they say that's their homework. So project based. Let them work in groups.
Solve problems together.
Solve problems together. Identify the problem. It will help with the research skills. It will help with presentation skills. It would help with writing skills. It will help with communication, because they will present at the end of the day. So I think within our space, those are some of the things that we can do in preparing the children for the future. Now, we have a lot of people or organizations or agencies who are into coding and robotics. That's the future. AI.
That's another one.
We can have clubs. We can also partner with NGOs, so that it can to relieve families, because when you're looking at those children,
some of them don't have access.
We are talking more now about children that are from probably middle income.
But
let's look at the low-level families and grassroots. Let's take it to the grassroots.
They don't have access to
people who do not have access. Let us make it accessible to these children, because there are always giants that will come out of those slums.
True. I mean, talking about slums,
another area is that.
I'm sorry. There's a lady who does, because you mentioned slums. There's a lady who called. I think it's called From Slums to School.
I've been finding them to partner with them.
Yeah. So it just tells you that if, like you said, one or two people, if we start doing this. Mr. Ilori that was here last session, he started Unusual School. When he really got discouraging, he was demotivated.
So also resources for teachers in the rural areas. I know that as teachers we feel, oh, we don't have the resources, the government is not providing. But if you're passionate, think about the children. Get resources around.
Creativity. Yeah.
Nature has provided us with so many things. There's a lady in Ajegule, she does the Transforming Ajegule program.
Yeah.
It was in a shop. The children in Ajegule used to come to read. That was how she started. She partners with NGOs. She goes on Facebook. And today that place, they have a whole building.
Wow.
Yes, it has
Wow.
grown. And you know, the government, even international organizations partner with her. Radio stations go there and, you know, they invite people to read. So as teachers as well. So let's look inwards. Let's not depend on the government.
Yes.
Change begins with us. These people we put in power that we vote for, they are individuals like us. Tomorrow, somebody might have to vote for you. So just let it begin with you. And
Then
Okay.
I also think that in terms of entrepreneurial skills, there should be opportunity. That's already within the system, but it's still being taught theoretically.
Yeah.
So let's make it very relatable. There are clubs, you know, financial management clubs. We can invite, you know, organizations. I mean, I don't want to mention names so that it's not like, you know, I'm one of them. But, you know, there are so many fintechs that also have their own CSR to schools. Let's
Yes.
find them. Let's empower the children. Financial literacy. If it is health advocacy, we have other NGOs that we can partner with. If it is technological advancement that we're talking about, we have NGOs that we can also partner with. Because for us, let's just make one change, transform one life at a time. And I think more importantly, the teacher development is not something that I will sweep under the
I
carpet.
was going to mention that because
we need a lot of support in terms of empowering the teachers
absolutely.
for them to have like a teacher agency, for them to be able to, you know, make some certain decisions
Yes.
and transform their own learning.
And
within their
also,
space.
just to add to what you said earlier, you know, this I'm saying this to people like us, you know, and any other individuals who are in that position or who are able to do that. So where I'm going to is, I remember when in teaching vibes 2017 or 2018, I can't remember. There was a time we all contributed materials. We gathered resources and we went to, I can't remember where, but there was a school we went to and we did like a makeover in their school. You remember that time? Bossman was there, Ilori was there, we all went. So I'm just saying also, you know, whatever you can do in your own space. Some of us, we have resources, we have cardboards, we have pencils, we want to use crayons, whatever it is you have, you can actually, what's it called now? CSR.
Your corporate social responsibility.
That's it. You can also even give back to the society, whatever you can do in your own space and in your own capacity. You can also help as well.
Yes, we appreciate the donation of exercise books and all that. But beyond that, let's look at the skills, how to empower the children to have some level of soft skills that would prepare them for the future.
Absolutely.
Organizations that are providing textbooks, notebooks, exercise books, we appreciate, but we want more. than that.
Honestly.
absolutely. What I was going to say was that in fairness to the government, lately it has become compulsory for every school to teach vocational skills.
Yeah.
I know that it has not been implemented in a lot of schools, but that is something that the government has demanded
Yes.
that it must happen now.
Yes.
But now, who will teach these skills? Because the teachers themselves do not have
That's what
these
she just
skills.
said
So
about
it's
now.
good. I was counting for schools for my son because he's moving into secondary school. And a lot of schools are saying, oh, they're waiting for the government. And I said, so why not empower a few of your teachers to also acquire these skills and they bring them to teach the children instead of waiting for the government, you know? So that's another thing. So school owners as well, let's not wait for the government to provide the specialists to come and teach the vocational skills.
Can empower.
You can empower your staff.
Okay, so at the end of the day, what we are saying is let's concentrate on what we can do, our circle of control, what we can do today, what we can do in our spaces, in our schools. Teachers don't wait for school owners. School owners don't wait for government. Everybody should do what they can do now because, like Mrs. E said, the world has moved on. We are so far behind when it comes to education. So we really need to get back on track and do whatever it is we can do so that we can avoid issues of, you don't want your child to be called to an interview to be a cameraman. Your child will
So
master's
sad.
degree. It is
So
very
sad.
sad. It is very
Yeah.
sad. It is very sad. So thank you everyone for listening. School owners, teachers, parents, students, nobody should wait for the other person. Even as a student, tell yourself that you can do it. Go out there. That idea you have, that creative idea you have, bring it to life. So that brings our discussion to an end today. Did we cover the socio-economic impact? I think we did.
I think we did.
We
I
did.
think we
Yes.
did. Yeah, of course, there's so much to talk about, but
Yes.
to a large
The
extent,
rate
we
of
did.
unemployment, the skills in the classroom not matching real life experiences.
Talking about employment, the people who work in Google, they are not first
First class
class.
students.
They are not. So I mentioned
Which
that
is
because-
still why skill-based learning is
yes.
still
So I'm particularly talking to students. You don't have to wait till I didn't get this, I didn't finish. You can be creative with your life. You can actually think outside the box. Some of the places you go to apply for jobs is people like you. Some of them will not even
one
finish
thing
school.
our curriculum also doesn't teach is respect. Not just respect for elders, respect to our civic responsibility.
Values.
And
Because the
environment.
government should not be hounding us that we should just spray money at parties.
Or even throwing
people-
bottles on the,
We should
on
know
the
that.
highway.
That should be a national
different-
anthem in schools, and parents
people
are
are-
scrolling, people are
Parents.
scratching their heads when the national anthem is being sung. It is wrong. People are trampling on money, country's currency.
Those are
It is
not
so
what
wrong. So those are
government
the
should-
things that the government should not be hounding us that we shouldn't do things like that. It is what the curriculum teaches. Respect for your
property, for your
property,
country, for everything.
For
everything.
human life.
Yes,
for
yes, human life, yes.
everything, basically. So
All right, so missing link we all already know, but let's do what we can. Circle of control, Civicovi, right? Circle of
Yes.
control and
Civicovi.
circle of what's the other one?
influence.
Circle of influence. Circle of influence is what you can't do anything about, but circle of control is what you can do, what you can do now. So please, everyone, students, parents, school owners, everybody, concentrate on what you can do now in your space. That's our message for
Because
today.
the change begins with
With
me.
you, me, with all of us. All right, thank you, everyone. Please, of course, share your comments, your ideas, suggestions, queries, whatever it is you have. Share in the comment section. If you have any question or you have any area you would like us to talk about in subsequent episodes, please, by all means, drop it in the comment section and we will get back to you. So, from my shy guest, you can see that there's nothing shy about her. Thank you, Mrs. E, for coming on
Thank you
board.
for having me.
Mrs. Amont, curriculum mama.
Big taxonomy.
Looks taxonomy. That's going to be another. Thank you so much for
It's a
coming.
pleasure.
I mean, this we have to keep talking about these things till we see a change. What we're actually doing now is also what we can do now. It's in our circle of control. So, see you in the comment section. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.